I got a lavalier microphone. Baba Rob, I dedicate it to you. So over the weekend, I ran for Assembly District Delegate of the 15th Assembly District of California.
Every year, the California Democratic Party passes a platform, endorses a whole bunch of candidates and propositions, and passes a bunch of really important resolutions. Who really is the Democratic Party exactly? I'm a progressive Democrat. They didn't ask me. Who decides? Turns out it's about 2,900 people called delegates to the Democratic State Central Committee. They get together once a year and pick who and what the rest of us ultimately get to vote for in the elections. So who are these 2,900 people? About a third of them are exactly who you would think they are, elected party officials and their inner circle. The next third are local Democratic Party officials. Each of California's 58 counties has a Democratic County Central Committee. Each of those county committees makes up their own rules to determine who gets to be the delegates that makes up the second third. If it all sounds like more of the same old inside politics to you, that's because it is. But hold on, because the last third is where the actual democracy part comes in. California is broken up into 80 different assembly districts. Each of those districts sends one representative to the California Assembly, and we just voted for that when we voted for president. But each district also gets to democratically elect 14 people, 7 men and 7 women to represent them.
I didn't even know this was a thing, but after the goddamn election, I signed up for every mailing list and newsletter of any kind of political thing in my area. And so I didn't even know this was a thing. I got an email right after the election being like, elections aren't over. People can run. You should run for Assembly District Delegate. Make a difference in your party. And then, delegates, I'm thinking like delegates and super delegates who did the nomination selection thing back at the convention. Remember that? And a lot of Californians were going hard for Bernie Sanders. There was some foul play, slightly, with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all that. Some creepiness. I was like, I could be a delegate. Maybe I could eventually get to the level of the DNC and we can make some structural changes. Okay, that's a long-ass explanation for then I went to the meeting where they elect this, and it's all real, like, homegrown, grassrootsy, where it's just a lot of people, older Democrats mainly, running an election where you show up, you say where you're from, like, because it covers a few different towns in the Bay Area. You get a piece of paper, vote for the delegates you want, and you put it in a cardboard box, right? It's real, like, folksy. It was cool. So anyhow, I'm there, and then it turns, and I'm like, okay, when I signed up to run for this thing, all you do is, like, fill out a form. You pay, like, a fee of, like, $15 or $20 or something, and then you write a short statement. And so I was like, okay, well, I've never heard of this. I don't know who else has ever heard of it. I'll probably be, maybe I'll be the only person running. Who knows? But I was like, I want to do something. I want to try to find a way to help out, Turns out there's 63 people running, okay, for 14 slots, because each assembly district has 7 men and 7 women representing them, okay? 63 people were running and 1,400 people came to vote. There was a line around the block of people waiting to vote. It was really cool, but point is, I was probably one of the least qualified people to do it, right? Even though I feel like probably every single person running basically agreed on every issue. The Bay Area is like pretty far left, like pretty progressive, Anyhow, it was hilarious. So I thought because there were so many people that we wouldn't have to make speeches, because they said you had to everybody would make a very short speech. But I was like, oh, well, there's 63 people. Even if we only each do a minute, that's going to be over an hour. So we probably won't do it. But we did. And I did a really ridiculous speech. I kind of like blacked out almost because I was really nervous. But the crux of it was basically like, maybe it's time for a weird artist in the Democratic Party. Needless to say, Of 1,400 people that came to vote, I got 29 votes. So I know at least 24 people who didn't know me before that day voted for me. Except for Scott, who did know me, because there was a guy there, Scott, who recognized me from YouTube. So long story short, that was the big event of this last week. If you're a registered Democrat, you can run for that. They do it every 2 years, so it's probably too late for you now. I don't know that for sure, though. Maybe your state does the elections later than California. But point is, in the future, you can run for this. All you have to do is be a registered Democrat, and all you have to do to vote is be a registered Democrat, and you can register as a Democrat there. So on the day of the election, you can register to vote. And then if you don't want to be a Democrat, you can change later. Okay? But so that day, my girlfriend Katie, she is an independent. She's never been registered with a party. And so I was like, you're not even going to register to vote for me? And so she did. And so I did get one person to join the Democratic Party that day. And that I will count as a success. You know me, I don't go hard for the Democrats. I love Obama. I didn't love every single thing he did, and for the most part, I feel like my views are a lot more progressive. But the point is, if I want my views represented in one of our two parties of our two-party system, then maybe I need to get more involved in the one party that I think I can have the most effect on. So that's my reasoning. I understand if anybody else doesn't feel the same way, but I just ask you to maybe consider checking out your local chapter of the Democratic Party. I guarantee if you're under 70, you might be one of the youngest people there. Get your friends to go. You actually can make a huge difference at the local level if you just get like 10 people together to go be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't endorse the person who's like, in bed with the gas and coal industry. That's the thing. That's the thing that bugs me about a lot of a lot of politicians, period, is that, they'll say all this stuff, but at the end of the day, they're got all these connections to giant corporate interests. And that's what I'd like to see for the Democratic Party. Okay, all my videos have been really heavily political, and I think that's like relevant to where we're at right now, time-wise. But I promise I'll branch out into other topics eventually. Here's another really, really hippie, liberal bullshit identifier of my life. Right now I'm drinking this chia seed thing. It's truly disgusting. It's got seeds in it. They're kind of like tomato seeds where they have a slimy membrane around. But because I'm vegetarian, I don't do fish oil, and that has all the omega-3s and stuff that especially help you, or supposedly I read on probably GeoCities that it's got the omega-3s that help you have a better mood and help you fight anxiety. So anyways, chia seeds can be an alternative, a vegetarian alternative for fish oil, but it does remind me of not that I have any experience in it, but drinking seeds. Maybe I'll bleep that. All right, thank you for your time. Feel free to ask me any trivia questions or riddles.